All right, guys, let me know if we're live before I jump into this, because once I start going down this rabbit hole, I'm not going to restart it because it's going to be angering some folks. So let me know as I clean up the mess a little bit here. All right, I see some people commenting. Insta-Sax, how we doing? America's First Freedom, Ken Williams and the crew here sometime in Wisconsin. All right, we are live. Sound is clear. Bingo. First off, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time on another live video that had zero announcement. I wasn't planning on doing anything today, but the ATF is a thing, and they have just released the new proposed rule to change the definition of a firearm, frame, and receiver. And we're going to go over it. I'll put it here on the screen. I'm going to read the whole thing so that we all know what's going on. And then I will direct you to make a comment. This is another one of those open comment periods similar to what we had in November, where they were trying to change pistol braces and make those illegal, right? To make them a SBR. So, and that's coming as well. It'll probably be in another 30 days from what I'm hearing. But there, some give and take with that. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to switch screens. I'm going to go right to the ATF's website here, and hopefully I don't blow up the screen here. And boom. All right, I am going to try to make this a smidge bigger here on my side so it's easier for you to read. But this is what's popping. This came down today. And you can see here it's a summary of proposed rule 2021 R Romeo-05. And it's the ATF's proposed rule. And it's going to be the definition of frame or receiver and identification of firearms. And what would it do? It would provide new definitions of firearm, frame, or receiver, and frame or receiver. Jose Hernandez, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Good looks, man. I appreciate you. Would amend the definition of firearm to clarify when a firearm parts kit, guys, a parts kit is considered a firearm. Never is a parts kit a bunch of scrambled parts. Never is it a firearm. However, this is the new ATF, and what else will this do? Gunsmith. It'll clarify the meaning of that term and to explain that gunsmiths may be licensed solely to mark firearms for unlicensed persons. It would also provide definitions for complete weapon, complete muffler or silencer device, privately made firearm, and readily. And this is a big one. We're gonna see this quite a bit coming up. Readily. Roughneck MP 173, thank you. It says, anyone missed the days when ATF enforced the laws? Can I still put this on screen, even though I'm sharing a screen? Let's see. Yeah, cool. Anybody missed the days when ATF enforced the laws instead of interpreting the law? Yeah, yeah, thank you. The good old days, right? Before these disappear. Here's a good one. Chernobyl, give me liberty or death. If you saw my Instagram post this morning, times are coming, folks. Times are coming. Tactical Tony, thank you. I will not enforce tyrannical gun laws or rules. Thank you. I'm assuming you're on the job, Tony. Congratulations. None of the people who enforce the law should do anything tyrannical. And I'm right there with you. Michael Kennedy, thank you. I can't see the stickers on this. I'm using StreamYard. But thank you nonetheless, my friend. Boom, boom, boom. Don't be dumb. It's a good one. I believe the ATF is the last organization to propose anything after a history of mass screw-ups. Yes, I agree. And Garrett, thank you, my friend. Thank you. So let's jump back into this here. I didn't want to, have people think I was shunning them by not reading those. Thank you very much. All right, so it's going to provide definitions for complete weapon, complete muffler or silencer device, privately made firearms, and readily. Readily, as I said earlier, is going to be the big one. And it's going to be for purpose of clarity given advancements in firearms technology. Big one, guys and gals. It's sometimes it's a pain in the butt knowing this stuff before it comes down the pike, because when you see it really come out on a proposed rule, and all those times you were saying to people, no, really, they're not going to do that, are they? Well, here they are. It'll also provide a definition of importers or manufacturer's serial number, provide a deadline for making firearms marking firearms manufactured, meaning if you're making one, how long you have until you have to put a serial identification number on it. Clarify marking requirements of firearm mufflers and silencers. It would amend the format for records of manufacture, acquisition, and disposition by manufacturers and importers. It would also amend the time period records must be retained at the licensed premises. So this isn't very long. We'll go through it. So we're all going to be on the same page. I don't want anybody to be caught off guard or to misinterpret anything. So I figured I'd do this kind of long form so we'll all be as informed as possible, and you don't have to, hear the scuttlebutt or guess what's on here. Proposed new definition of firearm, frame, or receiver. Here it is. Under the proposed rule, a frame or receiver is an externally visible housing or holding structure for one or more fire control components. A fire control component is one necessary for the firearm to initiate, complete, or continue the firing sequence, including but not limited to any of the following: the hammer, bolt, bolt carrier, breech block, cylinder, trigger mechanism, firing pin, striker, or slide rails. So there you have an upper and a lower for a typical AR or any other striker-fired firearm would now be included under their definition of frame or receiver. Any firearm part falling within the new definition that is identified with a serial number must be presumed, absent an official determination by ATF or other reliable evidence to the contrary, to be a frame or receiver. That's interesting. What about all of the uppers for all of the Glocks out there? Or all the M&P pistols and stuff like that? Next paragraph. More than one externally visible part may house or hold a fire control component on a particular firearm, such as with split or modular frame or receiver. Under these circumstances, ATF may determine, because they are the all-powerful, ATF may determine whether a specific part or parts of a weapon is the frame or receiver. So it's going to be up to those bobos to determine what it is at the moment you're in front of a judge. It's up to them, just on a whim. It may include an which may include an internal frame or chassis, at least partially exposed to the exterior to allow identification. Chassis, all the SIG 320s, etc. The proposed rule maintains current classifications and marking requirements of firearm frames or receivers, except that licensed manufacturers and importers must mark on new designs or configurations either their name or recognized abbreviation, city and state or recognized abbreviation, where they maintain their place of business, or their name or recognized abbreviation and their abbreviated FFL number on each part defined as a frame or receiver along with a serial number. You're going to have to serialize uppers and lowers and anything else that they're going to determine to be a frame or receiver. That could be a cylinder, a trigger, and stuff like that. Anything that they're going to consider to be a frame or receiver. The proposed rule includes examples of types and models and firearms and identifies the frame or receiver. Most examples also include an illustration identifying the frame or receiver. It also explains when a partially complete, disassembled, or inoperable frame or receiver is considered a frame or receiver, and explains that a destroyed frame or receiver is not considered a frame or receiver. Let's jump into the firearms parts kits. The proposed rule explains that when a partially complete frame or receiver parts kit has reached a stage in manufacturing where it may readily be completed, assembled, converted, or restored into a functional state, it is a frame or receiver that must be marked. For crying out loud. Weapons parts kits. With partially complete frames or receivers and containing the necessary parts such that they may be readily be completed, assembled, converted, or restored to expel a projectile by the action of an explosive or firearms for which each frame or receiver of the weapon would need to be marked. A weapon, including a weapon parts kit, is which each frame or receiver of a weapon or within such kit is destroyed is not considered a firearm. Licensing of dealers and gunsmiths. So if you consider yourself a gunsmith, now they're going to want you to be licensed to do this stuff. Under the proposed rule, dealers and gunsmiths can mark firearms for the maker or owner of a privately made firearm, which will be PMF going forward, and may be licensed to engage solely in that business. Dealer gunsmiths are not authorized to perform repair, modify, embellish, refurbish, or install parts in or on firearms, frames, receivers, or otherwise, for or on behalf of a licensed importer or licensed manufacturer, because those firearms are for sale or distribution. A license as a Type 07 manufacturer would be required. Marking requirements of firearms other than personally made firearms. Under the proposed rule, licensed manufacturers and importers must identify each part defined as a frame or receiver, or specific parts determined by ATF, of each firearm they manufacture or import with a serial number, the licensee's name or recognized abbreviation, where they maintain their place of business, or their name or recognized abbreviation and abbreviated federal firearms license number as a prefix, followed by a hyphen, and then followed by a number as a suffix. And there's your example. Each part defined as a frame or receiver, machine gun, or firearm muffler, or firearm silencer that is not a component part of a complete weapon or device at the time it is sold, shipped, or otherwise disposed of by the licensee must be identified with a serial number, and all additional identifying information, except that the model designation and caliber or gauge, may be omitted if that information is unknown at the time the part is identified. Licensees must mark complete weapons or frames or receivers disposed of separately, as the case may be, no later than 7 days following the date of completion of the active manufacturing process or prior to disposition, whichever is sooner. Marking and record keeping. We're almost done, actually. This isn't that long. Marking and record keeping requirements for personally made firearms. Now, I would venture to say that many of the people watching right now, or who will watch on the rebroadcast, have made a firearm. Whether it's a 3D printed gun, or building an AR, or building whatever it is, this is something that you're going to want to pay attention to. Under the proposed, and first off, before I say this, it has always been legal in these United States and the colonies prior to build your own handgun, to build your own firearm, period. Build your own firearm and use it for yourself. And you didn't have to serialize it. Yet here we are, making and records keeping requirements for personally made firearms. Under the proposed rule, a privately made firearm is a firearm including a frame or receiver, assembled or otherwise produced by a person other than a licensed manufacturer, and without a serial number, or other identifying markings placed by a licensed manufacturer at the time the firearm was produced. They're saying ghost guns. The term does not include an NFA registered firearm or one made before October 22nd, 1968, unless remanufactured after that date. Licensees must properly mark each PMF, personally made firearm, acquired before the effective date of the rule within 60 days after the rule becomes final, or before the date of disposition, including to a personal collection, whichever is sooner. Properly marked previously acquired PMFs themselves, properly mark them, or may arrange to have another licensee mark the firearm on their behalf. PMFs currently in inventory that a licensee chooses not to mark may also be destroyed or voluntarily turned in to law enforcement within 60 days. Once the rule becomes final, and unless, when they put that, once the rule becomes final, it doesn't matter, they're just not telling you we're doing this because it's required, we post this. And unless already marked by another licensee, properly mark each PMF within 7 days following the date of receipt or other acquisition, including from a personal collection, or before the date of disposition, including to a personal collection, whichever is sooner. Mark each personally made firearm acquired after the rule becomes effective themselves or under the direct supervision by another licensee. Mark PMFs with the same serial number on each frame or receiver of a weapon that begins with FFL's abbreviated license number, blah, 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 blah. So the upper and lower would have to be serialized that way. And would have to record PMFs in their acquisition and disposition records, whether or not kept overnight, and update the acquisition entries with information marked on PMFs. Now, my guess is that this would be towards polymer 80 kits and the like. There are a bunch of companies that make kits like that. Well, according to this, those would have to be serialized. Marking, registration, I hate that word, and transfer requirements for silencers. Under the proposed rule, a firearm or receiver of a firearm muffler or silencer device is defined as a housing or holding structure for one or more essential internal components of the device, including but not limited to baffles, baffling material, or expansion chamber. Manufacturers and makers of complete mufflers or silencer devices need only mark each part or specific parts previously determined by ATF of the device defined as the frame or receiver under this rule. However, individual muffler or silencer parts must be marked if they are disposed of separately from the complete device unless transferred by qualified manufacturers to another qualified licensee for the manufacturer or repair of complete devices. A qualified manufacturer may transfer a silencer part or another qualified manufacturer to another qualified manufacturer without immediately identifying or registering such part. Okay, that tells about transferring between manufacturers. The next one is transfer a replacement silencer part. And then persons may temporarily convey a lawful possessed NFA firearm, including a silencer, to a qualified manufacturer or dealer for the sole purpose of repair, identification, evaluation, research, testing, or calibration, and return the same lawful possessor without additional identification or registration. Records of acquisition and disposition. Under the proposed rule, records of manufacture, importation, acquisition, and disposition by manufacturers and importers must be consolidated into one book similar to dealers, and the format containing the applicable columns is specified as part of the regulation. So it's going to be a bound book that's going to have all the stuff that they want so that when they come and do their spot checks, you'll have all that information for them. Proposed rule specifies required information for duplicate entries and licensees' acquisitions. Like I said, the bound book must be closed out. Record retention. Under the proposed rule, all licensees must retain forms, including the ATF 4473, for acquisition and disposition records until the business or licensed activity is discontinued. Paper forms and records over 20 years of age may be stored in a separate warehouse, which is considered part of the licensed premises and subject to inspection. Paper acquisition and disposition records stored separately are those that do not contain any open disposition entries and with no dispositions recorded within 20 years. So I'm going to point this out here. It doesn't look like my cursor, but if you look under, there it is, learn more. These two links here, download the proposed rule. I will have that in this description once I stop the live stream, and how to submit a comment. And we're going to go to that right now, because this is something that everybody is going to, everybody should do, and everybody in the firearms community should be telling their viewers to do it, and their friends and their neighbors. It's time, guys and gals, to let them hear your voice. Let them hear your voice this way before they push the envelope any further. Now, will it stop it? I don't know, but I'd rather have 300,000 people tell the ATF very politely to bounce than to have 3 people do it. So here it is, to submit the comment. The deadline is going to see written comments must be postmarked with electronic comments must be submitted on or before 90 days from the date proposed rule is posted. So it's posted today, so there's 90 days from today to submit your comment. Requirements. Now, these are things to pay attention to, guys and gals. If your comments are not containing what is required, they don't keep them. They don't even consider them. All comments must reference this document's docket number, and that's it, ATF 2021 R05, and it must be legible. and include the commenter's complete first and last name and full mailing address. And right away, people are going to start typing, I don't want them to know my name. They already know it. It doesn't matter. If you're commenting, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a firearm owner or that you have personally made firearms or if you have a suppressor. It doesn't mean that. It just means you're an American citizen who's sick and tired of the tyrannical ways of this absolutely insane communist administration. And this is how you tell them that. Okay? ATF may not consider or respond to comments that do not meet these requirements or comments containing profanity. You do not want to tell Uncle Sam to piss off. Just learn how to do it lyrically. ATF will retain all comments, the rules, blah, 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 blah. How do you submit it? Submit comments in one of three ways, but do not submit the same comment multiple times or by more than one method. So if you're going to make multiple comments, change it up a little bit. Hand-delivered comments will not be accepted. They don't want 100,000 people showing up at their doorstep. So you can go to the federal e-rulemaking portal, and I'll have a link for that down below. You can see right here, it says submit your comment online. That's probably the way most people will do it, I would imagine. And if you want to mail in your comment, you can do that as well. You can see the information there. And if you want to fax it in, you can do that as well. Now they have their confidentiality BS there, and confidential business information. So let's see if I can switch this over here without blowing things up. And wow, look at that, I did it. All right. So I know that was a lot of words, but what they're looking to do is to make everybody serialize uppers and lowers. If you're a manufacturer, same deal. You'll also have to serialize any personally made firearm or any parts kit that's determined by the ATF to be in that state that's readily convertible. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, and I was reading some stuff from the ATF, they determined in some court cases in an individual basis 8 hours in a fully equipped machine shop, 8 hours to be readily convertible. Okay? So if 8 hours is readily convertible, take it from there. I'm not going to say too many things and give them too many friggin' ideas. Let's see. I don't know about that, but yeah. Screw the ATF. Give me my America or take my 5.56. We got here. Thank you, unicorn hearts and bunny farts. Oh, that's a good one. Caught me off guard with that one. Save the Republic while we still have one. God knows the government won't help. Yep. David, change definitions all you want. We ain't listening anyway. Micah says, can't stop the signal. 3D printer go brrr. And you don't, maybe. I know they're looking at that too. They're gonna try. They're gonna try, guys and gals. They're gonna push the red-blooded citizens in this country who care about their country to a point where they're going to have to care about their country. And yeah, enough said on that. StreamYard just rebooted. My chat section over here. Yeah, so we're all thinking that right now. So I figured I wanted to go on here. I just got home. The information was sitting there. I couldn't do anything with it because I wasn't in front of my equipment here. And the place I couldn't go live. Here's a good one. Who the F faxes anymore? Well, they have to be all-inclusive. This is an inclusive ATF, so they have to be open to all forms of communication now under this current inclusive administration. But yeah, I wanted to get this in to you guys and gals. Thank you. I appreciate the comments, a ton of them. Thank you so much. Over 2,500 people watching. Please smash the thumbs up. It's the only way. Trust me when I tell you. It sounds crazy when I say it. It's the only way that these videos will be shown to more people is a lot of likes. Even if you dislike it, that's fine. It's an action. A lot of comments, a lot of shares. And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Guns and Gadgets. This is where you'll get all the information on this stuff, no matter where it's happening, no matter when it's happening. And it's nonstop. It's about to get hot and heavy. So there's a bunch of proposed rules, if you remember Biden sitting in the Rose Garden, that are going to be coming staggered. One was 30 days, one was in 60 days, one was in 90 days. So this is the first baby. I know they're coming for the pistol braces again. I know they are. And I know it's coming. So let's all start working and get it done. Get it done. Edward, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Bob says serialized uppers. This is unenforceable. You can't serialize every damn part of the gun. These are, I'm glad you said that, Bob. Let me go down that rabbit hole a little bit. I often get asked, like, how will they enforce these? This type of deal, if this were to pass, how do they enforce these? These are like after the fact tack-on charges. I mean, nobody's going to come looking at your uppers out of the dark, out of the blue to see if you've serialized them. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is if, God forbid, you do something wrong and you happen to be part of an investigation, or even if you do something right, let's be honest, even if you do something right and you defend yourself and you happen to have an upper, if this were to pass, that was supposed to be serialized, but it wasn't serialized, that would be a tack-on charge. Even if you did what you were supposed to do and did it right, defended yourself correctly, you got to worry about etched numbers in a metal block. That's how crazy this is. Oops, I just hit the wrong one. How are they going to find what I have? Go through all the paperwork. There you go. So it's same deal. Dylan, same deal. Now, what's going to happen with all of the items that are out there now, before this even becomes an issue? We'll have to check on that. Is it going to be forced compliance, like an ex post facto type deal? Or is it going to lead to peaceful non-compliance? But what it is, like Nick said here, is ridiculous. And he's 100% right. Randall, I agree with you. Defund the ATF. The ATF is a joke. And I know some of them watch this. It's a joke. Above average Joe. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys and gals. Like I said, I've said it numerous times. I do this for you to get the information to people who are like me. I know there are people like me out there who only care about being free and keeping our freedoms, whether it's for our children, our families, whatever it is. We need the information. So thank you. Just rebooted. Let me see if I can find where I was. What's this one? So what about all the millions of guns? Yeah, that's same deal. It's going to be a tack on, and if it's going to be some type of an ex post facto thing, once I find the answer to that or get the answer, I will bring it forward. Trust me on that. I see a lot of boating accidents coming. Nah, I'm not boating nothing. I have what I have, and I have it legally. And if they don't like it, here's a good one. Hypocrite's Garden. Defund the definitions. That's a good one. Yeah, it's yeah. It's gonna be an interesting time here. Really, really soon, I think. Jerry Orlando stagehand, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, but I wanted to get this information to each and every single one of you, and my hope is that you share it. Because if you remember, in November, we didn't get the amount of comments that we thought we would have. I don't remember the exact number, but it wasn't as many as we wanted. I would have loved to see 300,000, 400,000, a million, but it was under 100,000. We need to make our voices heard, guys and gals. Silence is acceptance. Silence is acceptance. I don't care if you don't really like this. I don't like it either, but you know what? I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to comment, and it might take me 28 seconds. We all need to start being all for one and one for all. Sounds corny, but think about it. You know, I was sitting down. I'm gonna get on my soapbox real quick, if you guys don't mind. And then I will be done because it's a half hour into this. I went down on Sunday and Monday, and I took a class with Reed Hendricks at Valor Ridge. And we all, if you're not familiar with Reed, check him out. But those of us who are familiar with Reed and his work, he's extremely constitutional. He often puts a lot of historical facts in his videos, and why things are the way they are and how they were supposed to be and stuff like that. And he gave us a little bit of a talk, and he said something that made me like it even turned my switch on. And I'm usually on point with this stuff, and he caught me off guard. He said, and I posted something similar to that on my Facebook, my Instagram today. And for those who didn't see it, I'm going to read it the exact way it was. So if you do scroll and see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right. There are 5 freedoms in the First Amendment, 5 of them. We have the freedom of speech. We have the freedom of religion, the freedom of the press, the freedom of assembly, and the right to petition the government for redress. Now, think about this past year, the COVID times. And I just said that word, so the video is getting demonetized. So with that said, please thumbs up the video and share it, because we're going to need people to watch it. Think of the last year. What of that First Amendment hasn't been attacked? Freedom of speech. Can you really speak freely anymore? Whether it's on a platform, and I know people right away, it's a private company. I get it. Say what you want outside. Whether if you say something constitutional or what the left thinks is controversial, is it really freedom of speech anymore? You're marked as a terrorist or a crazy person. Freedom of assembly. Some people followed rules and weren't allowed to come out, weren't allowed to assemble. Freedom of the press. Could you write truth? I mean, we've all seen the video of where they start out with one news broadcast saying one thing, and they go to a different city in the country, and they're saying the exact same thing at the exact same pace. And finally, there's like 12 or 16 on the screen, or different locations around the country, and they're all saying the same thing in the same cadence, the same step. Is that the freedom of the press? Freedom of religion. I don't know where you live, but here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they closed churches. Now I can tell you with 100% accuracy that not all religious places were closed. Okay, I can tell you with 100% accuracy that there was a priest who opened so that people could come in to pray, and the Worcester police were going to lock him up a couple times, stopped by patriots. Are you allowed to petition in the government for redress? Are you allowed to do that anymore? Does the government give a shit? Oh, said a swear on a live stream. Oh boy. Are you allowed to do that anymore? Think about that. And that is just the First Amendment. Like Reed said, is this America anymore? Is this the America we grew up in? Is this the America we love? And a bigger question, is this the America we'll fight for? I know my answer. And I can't make each and every one of you think a certain way or not. But the time's coming, we're going to have to start thinking. There are going to be some tough decisions to make. Remember, we all have we all are, America was founded on, right? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Yet this country has stopped you from being able to pursue happiness the last year. Think of that. So again, get to know your friends and neighbors. Get to know your community. Train, and train some more. Yes, I know items right now cost a lot of money. I know that. But train and train and train some more. Michael Kennedy, long live the Constitution, long live the Republic. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Joe Oakes, I'm sorry. They already defined patriots as extremists. What else we got here? I am Smith, stop American communism. I'm with you 100%, man. It's getting sickening. Absolutely sickening. All right, before I go too far down this rabbit hole, I'm going to burn this up, but I just want to say thank you. Let's see, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Joe. So if 8 hours is a standard, they're going to serialize. Yeah, that was an individual case. It's not going to be the standard. I haven't seen that as a standard yet, but that is an individual case that they determined. And that's how the ATF works. If you have an item that a local or state police department, however it came into their hands, if they have questions on that, they send it to the ATF. The ATF makes a determination, and it's done on an individual basis each time. So that's how that one was. Patriot Rob, I agree. 100%. Let's see. JT. Absolutely. For the younger kids, or hopefully there's younger kids in here. When I say kid, I mean late teens, early 20s. You know, people who are considered by this country to be an adult. You know, you're adult enough to vote. You're adult enough to drive a car, and for some place, cigarettes and drink if you're 21 or over. But they don't think that you're good enough to defend yourself. A lot of states want to roll back that 18 years old from being able to have a firearm, make it 21. And they're not getting a lot of kickback. Silence is acceptance. Hey, there he is. There he is. There is no coexistence with leftists. They need to be removed from this nation, living or otherwise. Reed, spot on, dude. And thank you for training me up this week. Appreciate you, man. I'll be back over and over and over again. And it just rebooted again. Here's another one of my buddies, Bill Dalpy. Big Bill, love you, brother. Thanks for all you're doing. Sounds like you need a cocktail. Yes. I am going to, this is a live, so I gotta, all right. I'm gonna go upstairs as soon as I'm done with this. I'm gonna put the links in the description because I'll forget if I don't. And I am going to tear into some brown bottles. I'm gonna tear into them tonight. And for the ATF agents watching, all my guns are locked up and put away right now. All right, guys, it's 38 minutes. I didn't even think I was going to be on tonight. I needed a day for mental health because I was out with the kids all day and the wife, and it was driving me crazy. But yeah, the proposed rule is live. I will put links in the description. I want every single one of you. There are almost 500,000 subscribers to this channel. There should be at least, 455,000 subs right now. There should be at least 455,000 comments just from this channel alone. Spread the word. Get people motivated. All right? It's going to piss people off that this is the way it is, but get them motivated and walk them through the process. Give them the links. Feed it to them so that they'll do it. And challenge each and every single one of your YouTube people you watch in our community. Have them get their people to comment as well. All right? Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Long live the Republic. Some of us might be the only ones to make that possible. All right, guys, until we see each other again, deuces. Be safe.